All right. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. My name is Rich Sherry. I lead the marketing efforts here at Kangarootime, and I apologize for a little bit of the late start, trying to iron out some of the details on the back end there. So some of our panelists will continue to join in here momentarily, but again, thank you so much for joining us in our webinar today. We're thrilled to talk more about how analytics can inspire change. The first in a series of webinars on the topic, but first a couple of housekeeping items before we get started here today. The discussion is being recorded. It will be available on our YouTube channel. Please join that for some great content, sort of shameless marketing plug here. You can join us on our other social channels as well for some great content and our monthly newsletter, KT Collective. Okay, that's enough marketing sort of plug. We'll be emailing the recording as well, so you don't have to worry about that. We highly encourage questions, so please put them in the chat area and we'll try our best to get to them before our time is up here. Again, apologize for the little bit of a late start. Quickly about Kangarootime. If you're new to our webinars, you don't know really who we are, I'd like to acquaint you a bit with the company. We create enterprise level software for childcare centers to help you optimize and grow your business. We help you manage enrollment, class management, billing and invoicing, staff scheduling, attendance tracking, reporting, and so much more. So again, if you're curious, just, stop by kangarootime.com and all that. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it. We're here today to discuss analytics. Now I know that can mean a variety of things to a variety of people. There could be some intimidation involved, I would say, but overall, we want to sort of reduce that today with this discussion and several others coming up. So we have a little bit of discussion around how we're going to run your business a little bit better today. A variety of questions. We're going to ask everybody to weigh in from their perspective. We'll have examples from our customers. So we do have quite the panel here today. I'm going to go around and ask everybody to introduce themselves and their role at Kangarootime before we jump in. So maybe I'll kick it over to Scott for a quick introduction.
Hey everybody, Scott Wayman. What do I do here? I think nowadays I'm like the chief joke master, and all my punchlines, they totally slay. Right, Rich? I pay you guys great money to laugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm the founder and CEO here at Kangarootime. It has been my number one goal over the years to move the product into a place to where it can help people. I've always felt like the platform of Kangarootime and what we do, it's all about helping our customers claw back time, helping them focus on what's important, and almost help them with decision support. So this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. And I'm very proud of the team that we've assembled, led by Buddy Rogers and Tyler Ranker, to help us really enter into the realm of an actual data science platform and a platform that helps our customers with visualizations, that helps them with the business of childcare, that will eventually help them with the journey of the child and the data, all the data that's infused into that, and the plight of the educator. So with that said, I am super excited about this one, and I guess I'll shut up so the rest of our wonderful team can introduce themselves.
Sure. Maybe we can kick it over. I don't know, Sharon.
Well, I'm the chief laugher at all of Scott's jokes. It's my first role. He employed me for that. And second to that, I'm the managing director of Kangarootime Australia. So I head up all the operations in Australia.
Excellent. And this right here to my left?
I'm Buddy Rogers. I'm the VP of Product Development at Kangarootime. So I work kind of across all of the teams to help help them kind of succeed in delivering software that helps our users manage their businesses.
Excellent. Oh, Tyler, you want to go next?
Hello, Tyler Rinker. I am the Director of Data Science here at Kangarootime, and I lead a team that our job is to take all the immense amount of data that we have, distill it down into actionable insights, and to be able to help people to make better decisions.
Great. Jill or Dan?
I can go first.
All right.
Hey everyone, my name is Dan Lee, data scientist. Been with Kangarootime since last August, and I'm the data geek, I suppose, and numbers and creating visualizations. Jill.
Hello, I'm Jill Shepard. I think my name probably says Goodwin. I recently got married. I'm a data scientist here at Kangarootime. I deal mostly with business intelligence and a lot of the internal analytics. And I work mostly with Dan and Tyler directly.
Excellent. Well, thanks everybody for joining. Again, just to mention, this is the first of many in the webinar series just to talk about data and analytics and sort of shine some light on it from the Kangarootime perspective based on our experience. But let's kind of hop in and talk to Scott a little bit. I'll point this towards you. Quick question, and then we'll take the conversation from there. And as the founder and CEO, wondering if you could provide a little bit more perspective on analytics and how they've helped your ability to make better decisions and inspire the action necessary to make changes. It could be either in your founder and CEO role or as a Kangarootime in general. Just shine a little light on that for us.
Yeah, I think we all spend a lot of time trying to figure out where we can make ourselves more efficient. And that often is expressed in workflows, like standing up your billing on a flywheel that kind of automates itself, or making your enrollment practices. Again, I use the word flywheel, a veritable flywheel that kind of encodes things for you inside the business without you having to spend effort there. Also realizing that the most precious labor in a childcare business is the owner or the director. They have the most experience. That's where data becomes this force multiplier, this really powerful force when you're leveraging it, and it's giving you insights. Tyler, Tyler and team, we're looking at things always in perpetuity that identify real insights about the business, like things as simple as a payment method being changed, or concentration of bad debt, or a teacher that has a spotty absence record and being able to be proactive with that. So to me, I think we've existed in this time frame of technology. I've grown up in it. I've gained the tribal knowledge that's been super focused on making directors, owners, all the operators, educators at point of care, even your families and parents. The software you've been using, the platforms you've been standing up have been great at creating time efficiencies. And now I think we're evolved enough to start taking that to the next level and taking and identifying that data and looking at the insights that it gives you into the business. Where can you identify a classroom that has higher churn? And is that an indicator of the educator not being as effective? What on your wait list indicates the next business move you should make? Where in the educator's journey do we see high turnover? These things are all evident. There are trends there. We just can't see them because the data science isn't properly applied. So in my view, the next 10 years, the next decade, Kangarootime has matured as a product, has accomplished what we've really wanted to when it comes to supporting our customers and what we do with the childcare management system or the billing engine, the classroom platform, the parent ecosystem, all of our APIs, everything. I think the next 10 years, the innovation is all about the decision support. What can we give your directors inside of dashboards that help drive them to become better operators? Heck, what can we do inside a classroom to help a teacher with her upward mobility in her career or his career? And what can we do to understand our staff, the patterns of our families? So this is the most exciting frontier. Unfortunately, it just takes a little while to get there. It takes a little while to build the engine so that you can express all these great insights and all this decision-making support.
Yeah, that's great perspective. And I think I really like how you'd mentioned a more proactive approach and being able to connect those dots on, on the back end, or things that weren't necessarily evident going forward as you grow more sophisticated on the data and analytics side of things. What I'm excited about is more or less, and what I've seen be received well from customers is the ability to visualize and sort of reduce the thought labor, more or less, right? I hate to say it that way, but you have to think less and gain better insights, right? So that's sort of the magic balance there too. So I appreciate that, Scott. Thank you for that perspective. I think this, I'll kind of look to Sharon on this next perspective, because, given your role in sort of the lead in a different market on the Australian side of things, what role would you say data and analytics has played for the business down there, and how has it helped either equip you as a leader to take action, or those conversations with our customers? How are we equipping them to take some action in their business?
Yeah, thanks, Rich. So on from heading up the AU company down here, my prime responsibility is to ensure that we're a valuable asset to the Kangarootime global enterprise. So that's our main motivation there. So I need to constantly seek out opportunities, set strategy, and empower teams to be able to go away and see that strategy through. One of the main areas of focus is being able to target or identify clients or partners who have got an appetite to move. So how do we do that? Having access to a galaxy of data and analytics, in one example, paints a picture for us. It will say what organisations are ripe for scale, what centres are looking to be acquired. And we can gain those insights through variables such as seasonality, end of financial year type vocals, the investment appetite out there at the time, trends in centre occupancy, as Scott touched on before, and staffing, the pressures around staffing. That all paints a picture for us. It says what types of organisations are saying, I need to be acquired, and there are acquirers out there in the forms of larger mid-tier organisations. So being able to get an insight into that, and being able to identify and harness that data to be able to identify those organisations and centres that are kind of ready to move platforms to help see efficiencies through for them as well, is one area that I certainly want to see exploited in the future, or expanded in the future as well. On from that is being able to assess the hurts, wants and needs of clients by having access to what are their insights, where are they hurting the most, where are they lacking efficiencies with their current platform, and how we better able to align that with Kangarootime and the capabilities and efficiencies that Kangarootime offer. So things like, as we mentioned earlier, access and usage of casual bookings, which has a direct reflection on how they utilise staff and what staffing pressures may or may not exist at that time. So all that information lets us know how vulnerable or how malleable these organisations and centres are ready to move, and it gives us an opportunity to be able to sell into those organisations. From an internal perspective, being able to accurately forecast sales, and on from that is implementation and support is key to operating a business like Kangarootime. So being able to see out 2 or 3 years at a time based on experience of staff and accessibility to staff and the types of organisations that we're bringing on, how we're best set to be able to implement and support those organisations, because they're all different. and also working with within the customer acquisition pipeline, how we're best able to set certain targets against the whole RAF that makes up the early childhood sector. So anything from long daycare through to after school care, etc. as well. So being able to manage the AU business with a peep into the future and being able to target clients based on the data and analytics puts us ahead of the game, and it's a massive competitive advantage.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And I just, you get a different flavor of founder depending on who you're talking to. So like Scott is very much dedicated to the investment of resources around data and analytics, pretty much represented by everybody here in the panel discussion. And there are some that were unfortunately unable to join today, but I think, it's great to hear the Australian point of view and how, while we may be in our own little worlds, depending on which state or country you reside in, I think overall there's a lot of value and recognition of data and analytics, and not only how our customers globally are looking at it, but even us internally as a business, how we manage it going forward. And we'll get into that a little bit later. So certainly appreciate the perspective, Sharon. And by any, like, for the panelists here today, I mentioned this before we kind of kicked off. If you have anything to add to any point of the conversation, feel free to jump in here. Just wanted to continue to have the conversation more fluidly. So one of the things that, Sharon and Scott had both mentioned from their perspective is this ability to make more informed, I'll even venture to guess, better decisions from data and analytics. If nothing else, how it's compelled this level of commitment, like I had mentioned earlier today. I tend to oversimplify things or attempt to oversimplify things. And when I think about analytics or this concept, I just keep going back to this concept around questions, right? And, having the ability to answer the questions that you are asking today easily and in a manner that is a bit more predictable is certainly one aspect of things. The other value is around, displaying, signaling, guiding you through these experiences in the product or in your business that allow you to ask different questions, right? So there was probably some assumptions made, and I'm certainly guilty of this. Like, you make some assumptions and you move on, assuming that's the reality, until there's a certain event or occurrence where it causes you to pause and ask different types of questions, right? I think what's the quote? Knowledge is answering the question, intelligence is asking the right question, kind of deals. I don't know who said that. It wasn't me. It was So sticking with this theme of not only getting answers to the questions, but also knowing which questions to ask. I'll to Buddy for this one. What are some of the ways that you're seeing customers adapt or adopt a more analytics mindset when it comes to managing business? And what role, if you want to get into it, what role has the technology played in that particular shift?
So I would say that it kind of stacks. So there's categories to the questions, and they kind of represent a bit of a hierarchy. Yeah. So at the kind of base of the hierarchy, there's how does data flow throughout the organization, and how does it flow to our stakeholders? And that's kind of the information that we hold in our export system. So this is usually the first thing that people think of when they think of data flows and analytics, but that's starting to grow also into people thinking about API interactions. How do I pull data into an external system? And then also starting to move a bit away from PDFs and more towards more tabular formats so that they can do those types of things. So we're starting to see kind of on the ground floor, the desire for static exports to be more about providing information to stakeholders and third-party systems, and less about using those for the day-to-day consumption of the data in terms of decision-making. So that's kind of the ground floor. Then up from there, you'll get into more operational day-to-day types of analytics. And those might be things like what level of staffing do I need today? Are there any contracts expiring today? Like those types of things where you have kind of a red to green type of planning approach where you're trying to make sure that your business is running in the green for today. And we've kind of integrated a lot of that throughout the system. So some of that will be not necessarily in an analytics specific portion, but it'll be more just integrated into the home screen for enrollment or something like that. And I think people are starting to have those types of expectations of kind of a CCMS or education product. We'll hear a lot about center director dashboards and things like that, and the conversations that we have with customers. How do the center directors know what they need to do today? From there, I think the final level up is around kind of proactive approaches and closing feedback loops. So maybe getting notifications that tell you, hey, watch out for this week, or watch out for that this week, where we're kind of taking advantage of the data that we've collected over longer periods of time and being able to cycle that back into product features that probably wouldn't have been something that people ask for, but it's something that people have expressed, I wish I knew these types of things. So I think those are kind of the three ways that we hear about analytics mindset shifting. It's moving from static reporting as the methodology of day-to-day to static reporting as providing data externally, integrated analytics and guided experiences around the day-to-day. And then I think kind of the next, the horizon is around proactive actions and notifications. So.
Nice. Let me pan back to me here. Sorry for the kind of tight quarters here. I appreciate that, buddy, and that perspective as well. And I think as we, and correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the things that we try to do is keep it as simple as possible from a data and analytics standpoint. And you'll hear this sort of theme throughout is, we don't want people to have to dedicate too much time to understand a report or understand the action or sort of the prompts, if you will. So that is one of our guiding lights in this particular aspect of our solution and our sort of organization, so to speak. So thanks, appreciate it. Yeah. So, for kind of along the same, getting down a level, we're kind of been high level from an analytics standpoint. And I'll kind of look to Tyler and Dan for this next question. In your experience within this particular space, the early childhood education space, now we're sort of getting into the, for the folks listening in or watching, what are some of those key questions that we're seeing or hearing customers ask regularly, and how have we approached equipping those customers to answer those questions? Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
I can start off here, and I'm going to flip it around a little bit, and I'm going to start with your how. How have we approached it? And early on, we realized getting views of data that are actionable is hard. Like, I love my Apple Watch. It tells me, hey, you've done this number of steps, and it's really actionable and really nice. And we want to provide those types of experiences for our customers, right? But getting those views, it's difficult, it's hard. And so we realized early on, we need to really partner with our customers. So we have two parts to figuring out how to get those views. And the first part is a research lab that we've set up. And this is a way of getting data for some customers that we partner with and getting it together in different views that we can test things out and try things out with them. Hey, what do you think of this? And we start to get a basis of the types of views that we can then put into product. And then we go through another process where we use designers and to make that experience so that it's really nice, just like it is for my Apple Watch, so that people can just get those insights really quickly, right? So it's two parts where we have the research lab, and then the second part where it goes through a design process to really make the experience nice once it gets to a product. And second part of your question, I guess you would ask, what are the types of questions? And I think that for us, it depends on the type of hat that you wear. And then there's two major hats that we've encountered with analytics. There's many more hats in in this business, but there are two major hats that we've encountered so far that we've hat is the more director level, someone who oversees the center, and they're more focused on operational things, the day-to-day, making things run, and they're more focused on numbers and percentages, those types of things, right? And a lot of the work that I've done has been more around at the business level. So I'm going to speak more to that, right? So three major areas that I've seen questions at the business and regional level and district level around revenue, collection of money, and then also around payments. And the first one with revenue, we start to see questions you probably thought of. How much money am I bringing in? And then how does that money shake out? Like what if you're at an enterprise level, how does the money shake out revenue wise across centers, or how does it shake out across general ledger or accounts, chart of accounts, or whatever you use? How does it shake out across those different codes? How is that changing over time, right? So those are the types of questions we're seeing people ask around revenue. And then also how am I doing with my collections, right? That's the second set of questions we've seen around collections. And people want to know how much money is owed to the business, how old that debt is, who owes that money, and how large that is. And then lastly, how am I doing with collecting that money? How is my collections department, or if it's department, whoever, how are we doing with collecting that money? And the last set of questions we've seen has been around payments. Things like who has automatic payments set up, or who's missed a payment, those sorts of things, so that we can be proactive, help people set up payment plans, that sort of thing. My colleague Dan has been focused much more on the person who would wear the center level hat, the director. So Dan, thoughts there?
Yeah, so yeah, as Tyler pointed out, like center directors, we recognize they need to oversee a wide range of operations like finance, enrollment, staffing, customer service, all those things, and they have limited hours in a day. So our analytics focus on, providing overviews of those everyday operations, so the directors can just identify, okay, these are the problematic areas, then I need to, jump in and take actions to remedy them. So for example, it's critical to maintain the chain of custody for children. So we actually created a dashboard that we actually going to show how often and when, like name to face, was done by teachers in each class. And we also have a dashboard that uses children attendance data. So we actually can highlight the points where the chain of custody may be broken, like a child was checked in but never checked out, or the checking was done by a teacher rather than a guardian. So another example would be we use the analytics to help directors schedule staff shifts. So scheduling can be challenging. I think it requires quite some experience, and you need some background knowledge. And we try to use, data to make the process easier and more efficient. So we would use the past attendance data to estimate like the number of children who would be present at a certain point of time in a day. And then we would calculate how many teachers would be needed to satisfy the required ratio. So if the center actually uses a scheduling tool in Kangarootime, we would also bring in that scheduling information so we can compare it side by side with our estimates. So we can show, oh, maybe for this, certain time you are overstaffed or understaffed. So those are, analytics focusing more on the day-to-day operations, but we also provide, some information. We know you might need long-term statistics or summaries for planning. So for example, we have an enrollment and utilization dashboard. We would actually highlight classes with low enrollment. So the directors may consider, okay, maybe I should devote more recruiting efforts in those classes. And we also have, we will show you days with low occupancy. So the directors may consider providing the drop-in care, so the days would be better filled. So those are just some examples we solve with analytics, and I hope we can discuss more in detail in the future. But as always, we welcome user feedback and more questions so we can provide better data-driven solutions.
Yeah, and that's we'll be getting into that in subsequent webinars in terms of the detail. We're kind of keeping it high level here intentionally. I will say, just to kind of go back to sort of an approach that we take is around sort of that research and iteration and testing and sort of constant flow and feedback loop, so to speak. One of the things that we always encourage our customers to do is just continue to ask those questions. You may not get the answers right from the get-go, but continue to kind of dig in. Don't just take answers at surface level. There's probably something else going on behind the scenes. Of course, we're here to help you, but just as you look to run your business better, I think there's a rule, like a rule of 5 whys. I'm not encouraging the 5 whys. I mean, it may be 3 or 2 even to get started, but yeah, so that's how, and it's been well received by our customers. And there's questions that as we sit here today, we don't know that we need to be asking, and that's okay at the end of the day. And I think some of the data and the connection behind the scenes is obviously equipping us to have those types of conversations. So Dan, Tyler, thank you so much for that perspective. As mentioned, we'll get into the dashboards and sort of we're talking about what types of questions we're asking and sort of how we're going to equip folks, and how we've done it today and are going to go forward is definitely something down the line. So I'm going to shift a little bit, and then we'll kind of conclude, and I'll take a look at the Q&A to see if there's anything that's come on. But Jill joins us. Her role is, I would say, another testament to our commitment to data science and analytics. And without revealing too much, Jill, about the internal culture at Kangarootime. No. So in your experience, coming into Kangarootime, there's obviously a belief in the power of data, right? Like, what have you seen? How has the work you've done, the interactions you've had, sort of equipped us as a business to move forward? And also, I'm kind of going to touch on the change management aspect. I don't know if you want to get into that, but there's always some aspect of change management involved when it comes to reporting and KPIs and all that sort of stuff. So any thoughts along those lines? Any additions?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in regard to change management specifically, because it's something I deal with a lot, doing a lot of the internal analytics. I'm less interested in changing people's minds as I am in empowering their perspectives, where people usually have a gut intuition, or they have a hunch or a really good hypothesis, but they either don't have the tools or the expertise to really follow those down to fruition. And I think the data science team were really well equipped to, they have the direction, and we have the car, we have the gas to get them there. And working together, we're able to achieve together. So we may not have the subject matter expertise, but our teammates will. And so on the finance team, which I work with daily, they'll know what they want to get at, and I know how to get them there for the most part, whether it's even just cleaning up data or knowing where to look or knowing how to ask the right questions to achieve what they need to get their jobs done better. And the other piece of that is just having so many data sources. Usually a lot of the teams we work with just have so many pieces of information that they have to kind of consolidate in their minds, and they're going to all these different interfaces or all these different tools and using all of those. But the human mind can't really use all of that effectively. So we kind of help consolidate that and make that we get all the data in one place for them to really use it efficiently and effectively. So if it's a dashboard or some core key metrics, we can reveal that and really empower those perspectives that they have, and they can act on that then, instead of kind of wasting time and doing a lot of those tedious tasks that we can pretty easily automate. That's where the real power comes in, I think, is that collaboration between the data science team and all of these different kind of pillars of the different aspects of our teams at Kangarootime. And it really excites me. And I think a lot of what people have been driving and a lot of what Scott said, it's so exciting to me that we're really poised to attack analytics correctly. I feel like we're really starting foundationally and building up. And I've done analytics at a few other places, and I think it's hard to figure out how to attack it correctly. You want to do like all the magical predictives and prescriptives. Everybody wants to start with all that shiny stuff, but I feel we're really doing it right here, and it's so exciting. And I'm very grateful to be a part of this team. It's a cool place to be, and the work, it's not always glamorous, but I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, and we love working with Jill. She's a saint and a patient. Let's put it that way. And that's putting it lightly. I think just a general question for the group here, and appreciate everybody's perspective. I'm wondering, if you're thinking about center directors, center owners, and sort of the collective experience here today, like what would we, any general thoughts, like what will we encourage folks to start to think about? So Jill, I go to your point about, we're poised to attack, but there's a lot that goes into it in terms of like, there could be a cascading effect to decisions made that is like the ramifications at the end of the day in terms of trying to bring it all together could be significant. But any sort of recommendations on, okay, you're thinking about data analytics for your business. Not only are here some fundamental questions you want to ask, but how you want to start to think about things. I don't know. Does that make sense? And anybody? Sharon, you're off mute. I'm going to call you out.
I was just as you were saying that, and one of the things that sprung to my mind is one of the great wow pieces in the Kangarootime product is like that daily screen, the screen that tells the centre manager what's happening today, and what we hear is being able to have an insight into not just today, but just be ready for this tomorrow and be ready for this next week, things like that. That's a point where I know that centre managers certainly want to say, yeah, this is great. Now, what I have to remember for tomorrow when I'm logging out tonight, things like that, is having access to that kind of information. And on the quirky side, which is a little bit of a wow thing for us, is having random bits of fun fast facts that come up saying, did you know that last week, 47% of the children had blue eyes or something like that, or more boys soiled nappies than girls last week. They've reached a record. Just little fast facts that go, oh, wow, that's kind of cool. Did you know? Things like that.
That is a fast fact there. Very interesting. Thanks.
I made it up.
By the way, nappies or diapers, right? Just want to clarify.
Diapers.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Just clarifying that for the folks in the States. So yeah, and I think that's a great point and something that we'll continue to sort of peel back this data and analytics. So we're talking about the questions we're supposed to be asking. This next webinar is going to be more about how we visualize some of the answers to that question and maybe get into how do you take action and some of the examples. So we're sort of layering in this evolution and introduction because I had mentioned it earlier. I don't know if sometimes when people hear data and analytics, it's a little intimidating. And in actuality, it's we're aiming to sort of break down that barrier and help you understand your business better. But any other, I'm gonna check the Q&A here, but any other questions, final thoughts, words of advice, wisdom from anyone on the panel? And you will be back for the next webinar. Just, you've committed already to this, so just wanted to make sure this is recording. But any other, Buddy, Jill, anybody, just words of wisdom for the group?
I don't know if it's wisdom, but I can I can say one thing that more is possible today than maybe has been in the past. And so the need to kind of do everything in Excel or everything in a combination of PDFs or various other manual processes is maybe still more necessary than it should be, but it's something that we're looking into changing. We can be more of a guide in our tool set to what needs to happen to run your business. I know Jill and I have talked about this before, but there's a concept of self-service business intelligence, and I think that really is a powerful model that brings data and analytics into a more accessible framework, and that is kind of the direction that we're trying to take the Kangarootime products. So more information and decision-making power upfront. And less kind of having to grind your way through CSVs to get an answer. So to Rich's point, asking the questions kind of helps us know the direction that you want to go in that regard.
Excellent. Appreciate that. Okay, so 15 minutes back in your day, there was let me just double check. There was a question around this. This will be shared with everybody that has been registered, and feel free to share it as well. It'll be posted on our YouTube channel. It's the first of several in this particular series. Hope you found it helpful and you understand some of those questions that other of our customers in our experience are asking, and some that you may want to consider digging into a bit further. But if no one else has anything to add, and we're all good. Okay. Well, thanks everybody. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day and your week. Take care.
Bye-bye.